Hello, everyone. This is Molly from the Casually Molly podcast, and I just wanted to introduce you to my friends at the Natty Cat. This one is for you cool cats and kittens who can't get enough of wordplay and fur babies. The Natty Cat's natural soy candles feature inventive scent combinations in glass jars with clever kitties on the labels. Hand-purred with locally sourced natural soy wax, the Natty Cat's candles wood wicks create a cozy fireside crackling sound, perfect for curling up on the couch. Remember, for all of your candle and scented oil needs, please visit our friends at the Natty Cat either on Facebook or Instagram.
Have you ever wanted to get your shit together? Scrap it, look through the lens and capture it. But first world problems are getting you down. Disabled, salty, needing a laugh to fix that frown. Well, you can do all those things and so much more. Just grab a seat in the chair or the floor. Sit back, relax, recline. Well, she drops another casual line. You're tuned into Casually Molly with Molly and Bergie.
All right, welcome back to the Casually Molly podcast. Again, I am your host, Molly Ambergy. We always have a new episode every week. And of course, I always bring on good friends, mostly comedians, especially this great guy over here. Give it up for Shon, everybody. I always love saying that because we don't really have, obviously a studio audience. So it's just,
right.
You'll see we have more of a casual layout. We've got this nice little table here. And Shon, and I are just drinking some George Remus. Shout out to Cincinnati.
Hey.
Cheers.
Hey, cheers, cheers.
All right. I didn't even drink my drink because I'm so excited that Shon is here.
Yeah, it's real smooth too. It's really good. I like it.
I know. Do you have a favorite bourbon or whiskey that you like?
So I am a whiskey guy, and I stay right in my pocket. It's either Crown Royal or Jameson. I stay right in my sweet spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever mix it with anything that you like? So sometimes I'll put Jameson. I put kind of not that I'm a huge, and I say pop St. Louis, so.
Uh-oh.
I'm an Ohio girl.
Yeah.
I told you I'm from Cincinnati. So I grew up saying pop. And then when I moved to St. Louis, everybody's like soda. And so it was definitely a different experience.
That'll get you a quick, where you from? That's a quick one. That's a pop.
Oh, I know. I'm but I look like somebody that would say pop. Let's just be honest.
Where you from? Okay. No, I used to mix it with cranberry juice. Actually, whiskey goes, particularly Crown, goes really good with cranberry juice. Surprisingly, but I stopped drinking soda, and I'm trying to wean myself off of juices.
Yes.
So now I just drink it straight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a struggle though.
It is. Well, because I drink things straight too. I'll get Tito's on the rocks straight, and then I'll get Makers. And Makers is something, but it's hard because you're trying to especially with the calories and stuff that come with it. And I know some people are gonna be like, "We're in a pandemic. Why are you worried about that?"
Yeah.
But, I understand. So anytime I go, the rare times that I do go out, I will I went to Backdoor Comedy and Events last night, and I saw their show, and I just got some Jim Beam on the rocks, and she was like, "You don't want to mix it with anything?" I was like, "No, I'm good," and I didn't need any water. I wasn't drunk, anything like that. I had two, and you just get to the point where your tolerance level is just that good, guys. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's now sweet drinks taste weird to me a little bit.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I usually drink it straight. I try to be healthy when I fuck up my liver, so
right though. Speaking of just protecting your liver, a lot of times what we do as comedians, we go to open mics, we go to shows, we have a drink, right? Which is fantastic. Go us. Speaking of comedy though, transition. You and I met through comedy, and I remember, I think I'd always seen you perform, but I think the first night you and I officially met was that we were at the Funny Bone competition together. We were in the first round, and you and us, also mutual friend Ricky Royal, you guys were sitting over there, and I went up to Ricky. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "This is Shon Don." I was like, "Oh, it's nice to officially meet." The same thing you do when you meet somebody, right?
Yeah.
Very boring stuff, but we gotta give the background to it. But you were so nice, and I remember you just sent me like a nice Facebook message. You were like, "Hey, like, good job tonight," or something. And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And like, you obviously murdered because you became a finalist. So murdered, our favorite term in comedy. I murdered.
Yeah. You murdered, you killed, or you died on stage. You don't want to die. No, you had a good set. You had a really good set.
Oh, thank you.
That night. I remember you brought it. Yeah, I mean, I give props where it's due. I don't think, it's competition out here. It is what it is.
Sure.
We all want to be the best, and there can only be one best. But I don't feel like I have to put someone else down to elevate myself. So even in the finals, Libby killed
Higgins,
it. Libby
previous podcast on this,
killed it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Libby murdered it, and I had to give Libby her props. Like, Libby, you murdered it.
Yes.
Ricky Roy, he murdered it.
He did.
So like, anytime if I see somebody and they do good, I don't care if I'm going head to head. You could place third and bump me out of advancing. I'm still gonna say, if you murdered, you murdered. Like, give people their props.
I agree.
So you did good. You deserve to be told you did good.
Well, thank you. So, and I think that's why you and I get along too. Obviously, our love for like bourbon and whiskey and all the fun stuff and just weaning on it straight. But on a personal level, I feel the same way you do too. Like I think just with my personality and like, you know how I am very complimentary of people, but it's just like, if I like something about somebody, it's just like where you give props where they're due. Like if I like that something that somebody did or a set that they did, I'm like, that was awesome. Or like, keep that joke. Please don't ever get rid of it. Especially in your community, when you see people do those sets over and over again. And I think that's something that's really special because we're obviously based here in St. Louis. So what's really special about our community is that everybody's very supportive of one another. If you see something that somebody does that's good, you're like, keep that, do that. Like I've definitely been, and I won't say states or places, but when you do travel, not that this has happened a lot, and I'll ask you about your opinion on this too. There have been some open mics that you just go to, right, when you're going places. And it's kind of hard to see that like, there's comedians on stage and the other comedians aren't watching. Like they're just outside talking and they're more concerned about themselves. And I'm like, how do you learn from that? I think is my question, but who knows? Maybe I'm being a little harsh. How do you feel about that?
I see that a lot everywhere. But I'm a fan of it. First and foremost. So I like to watch.
Yeah. Same.
Even if I'm watching the same set, because there may be a small inflection that's different that took a joke from here to there, you know what I mean? And then he did it, and now the joke like exploded.
Isn't it crazy when a vocal inflection just changes one sentence and you're like, that sentence did not sound that way yesterday, and that's why it is.
And that'll be what takes the joke over the top, and now it's a showstopper, you know what I mean? So I'm a fan of it. I like watching it. Schadenfreude is probably not a good thing. I like to watch people bomb sometimes. I mean, fuck it, it's entertaining, you know? To watch people go on stage and die, like,
it's like, here's the thing. So Kate Barton, and she won't mind me doing this shout out. And, she's one of my best friends. She's also a local comedian here. And she says, like, sometimes watching people bomb is like watching a car crash, right? Because, like, you can't look away. You're like, you want to know what happened. What are the details? What is this? And I mean, like, I think that's pure honesty. Like, yes, maybe it's not, the nicest, like, but at the same time, like, it's going to happen. When you're a comedian, you're going to watch people bomb and you're going to bomb. So either just embrace it or,
No, listen, you better watch people bomb. You better watch, like, okay, if I'm watching sports analogy, if I'm watching boxers and I only watch the knockout punches and I'm only watching highlights, I will never learn the steps that got them to be a great puncher. You know what I mean? So if I don't know, like, the defense and my footwork is messed up while I'm trying to set up that punch, I'm gonna get my ass knocked out.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm looking for the big ha-ha, but I didn't learn that you're not supposed to do 7 minutes of setup.
Yeah.
Right? For a joke. I mean, you gotta watch people bomb. You have to.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. You have to watch. You gotta bomb yourself. Like, you have to do
That's
shitty.
True.
Like, oh, this didn't go well. Like, maybe this isn't a joke for open mics. And maybe this isn't a joke for a show that only gives me 7 minutes. This is a joke for a 20-minute show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So,
I just agree with I know I'm being super enthusiastic right now, but you were literally hitting the nail on the head of like every point I've always thought in my head. So.
Yeah. But that's why you got to watch this shit. And some people are so good they don't have to watch. And some people are so good in their own heads they think they don't have to watch even though they probably should.
Yeah.
That's not a personal shot at anybody.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
Not a personal shot at anybody, but
yeah.
You should watch.
You should watch.
You should watch.
So that's like one tidbit of advice when things start opening back up and whatnot, go ahead and watch. Why not?
Yeah.
But speaking of watching, you got into comedy. Was there like a certain point where you watched somebody and you were like, yes, I want to do that? Or how did we, I know it's kind of like a generic question that we ask every podcast episode, but just to kind of give us a backstory, how did you kind of snowball into doing 8 years of stand-up?
So I ended up, I stumbled into an open mic. I saw somebody that was very confident about what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they weren't that funny. And it was one of those, if you could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
Because I'd always wanted to do it. I'd always, like beyond watched it, paid attention to little things like inflection or little things like setup and I've always paid attention to it, even more than just watching comedy. And just seeing somebody that wasn't that good at it be that confident, I was like, if you could do it, I could do it. The worst thing that could happen, I'll do it. Nobody knows me there. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So luckily, the first night I did okay.
Where was your first open mic?
Funny Bone.
Oh, that's a good open mic to do your
Yeah.
first. Did they do like the first time announcement for you as well and whatnot?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And my first, it was okay. Looking back on it, I was trash. But I got laughs on the things that I thought I should have gotten laughs on, which gave me the confidence to go back.
Sure.
So second time, I actually bombed. But then in my mind, it's like, no, that's their fault because that shit worked last week.
Right.
So I still felt confident enough to go back.
Sure.
So then the third time when it went okay. So then I was like, okay, it's funny, but maybe I do need to
do some rewrites.
And tweaking.
Yeah.
And that's when I got bit.
Yeah.
I got bit.
Then all of a sudden you just get, I mean, that's what, like, I always say, like, comedy is like an addiction almost. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just get, and then, like, that's the thing, you can't stop doing shows. Like,
yeah.
And then suddenly you have a podcast.
Yeah, it's like that. Especially, like, at first, because I still get nervous every time before I go on stage. Every time.
That's okay. I feel like that kind of shows that you care about what you do, though. Like, I feel those are good nerves. Am I wrong?
Anytime I've been confident, like, yes, I'm about to kill it. Anytime I've ever been that confident, I did not do well. In my own head.
I feel that.
Anytime I've been confident, my performance never, I may not have bombed.
Yeah.
Like, I may not have bombed, but my performance never matched the level of my confidence, ever.
Yeah.
So I get nervous every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I still get nervous. But you're nervous as hell going up, and then when you get off, all you want to do is go back up again.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Well, like, so I'm a big fan of Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo. And so
I like some parts of her.
Yeah, there you go. See, some parts, we got to. Why I bring her up is that she has this great quote where it's like, it's crazy performing. For those of you who don't perform, perfectly fine. But for those of you who do, will understand what I'm talking about or what we're talking about. Is, J-Lo was like, you go up and you're so nervous before you perform. And then there's something that happens within like the 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes you're up there, whatever time frame. And you're just like, I love my life. Like, it's a crazy ass feeling. Like, especially when you have, and like sometimes at open mics, it's an open mic. You're there to, you know, test things out and see how things feel. You may not kill every time. And that's what I've had to learn. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. But when you go to a show and you impress people that have like just gotten off of work, they're ready to have a few drinks in them, and like you're all on the same wavelength. That's exactly, you're like, I love this. I can't stop doing this. But then what's crazy about comedy is that you'll have a killer show like that, right? And you're like, oh, my confidence, it's just so good. But then you'll go to another show and everybody's silent. Yeah. It's the craziest. I guess like with live, I do theater too, and that's kind of the same thing. Some audiences are right there, and then you'll have a Sunday matinee, and you're like, maybe this person fell asleep.
Yeah, like what's wrong? Is it you? Is it me? So, you ready for it?
Yeah.
It's like sex.
Yeah.
It's like sex.
So that's a good reference.
It's like sex. Like, some chicks like this move, some chicks don't. And when it's good, it's really, really
good.
Really, really good. It's a good car ride home. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
God.
If it's bad, I mean, that's, you know what I'm saying?
That is a great comparison, actually.
And every crowd is different, just like every woman is different. So
I think I'm actually going to apply that too, because I've been having, okay, so I'll ask you this too. So pandemic, right? We're in a pandemic.
I hate it.
And right. And I was about to say, so like clearly I'm a very outgoing person. So when this all happened, and you know me, I'm pretty positive. I was like in the beginning, and I say this every episode, but I was like, yeah, we're going to make it. Like I'm going to do live interviews on Facebook, and like I'm not gonna let anything get me down. Like I'm gonna play cornhole inside my house if I have to. Like, and then eventually it just hit me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be like seeing some people for a while. And so I don't know, have you been handling it? I know you just said you hated it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, nobody loved it. It was a stupid comment. Who loves it? Who was like, yes, fucking COVID, it's my shit. But nah, I think if I'm being honest, I think I hit a depression with it.
Yes.
I think I legit, if I'm to bare my soul to complete strangers, I think if it would have been sustained for any period of time, I probably would have been diagnosed with depression.
I agree.
Simply because I didn't realize how much I loved or used comedy as an escape or as an outlet.
Right.
So that was taken away. I was basically in the house, same routine, because I'm essential.
Yeah.
So,
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
We lived the same life, Shon. You just didn't know it, but we did.
Do I need to stop looking at you and look at them?
I just look at the both. So sometimes I'll be like, hello, audience.
Because I'm looking at you the whole time, and I don't want to ignore the people who probably ain't.
Well, I don't think. Chris, are you offended? We didn't forget about you this time, Will O'Donnell.
I'll be honest, I wish you had.
I don't want you guys to be offended that I'm not speaking to you.
Oh my gosh.
I think you're doing a talk show, and I think it's fun if you look back at them, but that's not the style. You're not addressing, you two are talking to each other. It's fun maybe if you check it out, but I think it's perfectly fine when you look at each other.
I'm chilling with my homegirl.
I think that's the more fun thing.
So anybody can get offended, but you know what? Just get your own podcast and invite Shon to come on.
Chris at midcoast.media, we can get you set up. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the fuck I do. I ignore people. So anyway.
That's what we were talking about.
But nah, like I was essential. So I am essential. So you go to work with a mask on behind 17 levels of security, do this mundane job now. They used to be fun or halfway interesting, right? Go home, lock yourself in the house, get up and do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And there is no outlet.
Right.
Like there's no movies. There's there's no dating. There's no anything because everybody's scared. Like, nah, bitch, you can't come over because I got asthma. You know, like I don't want to get sick. Like, so there's nothing. And it even took away things to look forward to. So even to say, okay, I'm going somewhere in June. I'm on not even a big trip. in June, I'm gonna just shoot to Chicago for a weekend.
Right.
That's gone.
Right.
Like, that's gone. Even a small getaway, let alone the big trips. 2020 was supposed to be my year, particularly in comedy.
Yeah.
In my mind, 2020 was my year.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Like right before COVID hit, I recorded a little promo video at Rafe's show.
Yeah.
Had a guy come out, hired a guy with camera to come out, edit it and everything. And I'm like, it's my year. Because I looked at one of my friends in comedy, and he had a monster year in 19. Monster year. And I was like, again, and this is on a more positive note.
Yeah.
If he can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But not in turn, like,
Yeah. Oh, I get
on a positive note. Like,
in a positive way.
Hey, that's driving me now.
Yes.
So 2020 was my year.
I agree.
And I was on a roll. Like, I was out of town every other weekend. Like, I was getting work. I was getting better.
Yeah.
And it stopped.
Yep. I know
What
that
the
feeling.
fuck? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I hit a, like, I think there's a rock bottom for me in 2020 at some point. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And any story that has the words rock bottom, like, yo. So...
Oh, yeah. It's just like, I felt for me, and like, obviously, I feel the same way that you did, because I was like, you feel like everything gets taken away from you, right? Like, you're like, and that's what I was explaining to my parents, actually. I was like, I feel like I just don't have an outlet for things anymore, because I was writing a screenplay as well. I was going to plan a fundraiser for Casually Molly. My merch had just come in. And then it's just like you. In March, I had a show every weekend, and it was crazy. I was like, how is this happening? Like, I mean, I was obviously like super excited about it, but why I say that is just what was kind of depressing and about it was that each week, because we weren't sure about the coronavirus, right? Like, it wasn't, at first it was kind of downplayed, like it was only in certain places, people had it under control. And then I remember there was one night Jimmy and I went out to the Grove, and it was because I was supposed to have a show in the Grove. That got canceled, obviously. And I remember we woke up the next day and the news was like, everything is shutting down, only up to 50 people. And then in the next week, it was like lockdown, everybody. And, there's like, obviously, I mean, you know, there's been a bunch of politics and everybody's hitting heads about, do we lock down? Do we wear a mask? Like, what is, and you just kind of fall into this pit of sitting in front of your social media, looking at everybody's opinions. And it's just, it just got you. I almost was like, did I take comedy for granted? Which I don't think I did. But at the same time, you're like, did I? I don't know.
Yeah,
so that's how I felt.
It was it was a bigger part of my life than I thought. You know what I mean? Like, it meant more to me than I thought.
Yeah.
Not to sound like hokey, but even like spiritual, like seriously, without it and without having something or having that thing to do or that thing to focus on, like, hell, at least in theory, at least you could write.
Yeah.
I wasn't even writing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even creating. Like, I'd have an idea and a premise might pop in my head that I'd write down or I'd throw it in my phone, like, hey, remember this, but I wasn't building anything. I wasn't like,
because there's nowhere to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would literally walk in, take off my shoes, drop my bags off at the door,
Because you're so tired, because you and I, before we started recording, we're talking about, we have both been essential, obviously, this whole time. And like with being essential almost comes, you have like a skeleton crew of people. So that energy that you used to have for the arts, you're like so exhausted by the time you get home that, and I've cried about it, which no one's surprised by that, but I like me crying what? But I've definitely cried about that because I feel in a weird way, like I failed myself, which just sounds so silly because everybody's going through the pandemic. So there's a lot of people that are feeling the same way that I am. But when you and I are people who are usually like pretty determined, doing stuff, being active, and that's just like, poof, you're just like, yeah.
But think about it. You're going to work, the part that, I guess is being addressed by some, because, stimulus money and stuff is going out, but Like if you are essential, your customers are frustrated and upset. They're taking it out on you. Management is probably frustrated and upset. They're taking it out on you. Your coworkers are frustrated and upset. You feel that pressure. So you got all this negativity coming on you.
Right.
All day. All day. You know what I mean? So like work is harder. It's straight up harder.
Yeah.
And I mean, people don't talk about that part, but it's a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
It'll be interesting to see what, you know, on the other side of this shit, 10 years down the line, what mental health studies say about the after effects of COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be interesting to see what the after effects of kids that grew up in this. Or
that's what's crazy. Like, you know, like I feel for moms right now that are having like babies during COVID. And like, it's like, you know, I have a lot of friends who are moms and single moms who are, you know, and like even single dads just like raising kids. And it's hard I bet you it's so hard to be like telling your kid like, oh, sorry, we can't go on this play date, or like, we can't go do this because, you know, and I know things are opening up to now, but I guess like I'm not a parent, so I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, I talk to my friends and I'm like, what do you do when things are opening up? Do you have your kid wear a mask? Like, and I have some parents who are like, yes, 100%, we wear masks wherever we go. And then I have some people who are a little bit more relaxed. So I don't know. I guess it's just like a very weird time.
It is. And I'm not in a position where I could be risky with my kids.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be extra
How
cautious.
old are your kids?
I have a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old. Wait, 11-year-old and 12-year-old.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
But no, yeah.
Fuck 2020.
Right. That is going to be the theme. I think I should just be like casually fuck 2020.
Yeah,
I had a really
2020.
like good philosophical title for this, but you know what? Fuck it. Fuck 2020.
Fuck 2020. But no, we have to be extra cautious, and I feel bad for them because
I know.
like straight, you can't go to the pool, or you like I feel bad for them. Like,
yeah.
I want to tell them like, hey, go outside. Get out of my house. Go.
Yeah.
Go play.
Right.
I can't even tell them that. And I feel bad. Like,
right.
Like, damn. Like, I can't even let my kids be like, where you went from complaining that kids wouldn't be kids and all they want to do is sit on the phone or the computer or the video game. No, they can't. And
Yeah.
It's
So weird. But I guess what my question, because I always ask everybody that comes on, like, where do you kind of see, you know, like I said, we do have clubs opening up. We were talking about that earlier. Where do you kind of see live comedy going at this time?
it'll slowly bounce back. The genre itself will never die.
Yeah. Agreed.
It was at such a boom in 2019.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
It was at such a boom with, you know, Netflix specials, and then you had these huge acts. You've got the, well, I'm not even going to start naming people, but you got people who are doing it on a stage larger than you've
than
ever
life.
seen before. And then you've got all these new people thinking I can do it, right? 50 people signing up for open mics, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, isn't that nuts when the list is like 50 people?
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, okay. And we got to narrow this down to 13.
Yeah, if you you step away for 2 or 3 weeks and you come back and it's like a whole new crop of people you've never seen before. Like, who the fuck are these people? Not who the fuck is this guy, but who are these people? So it was at such a boom before that this like halt. It'll be funny to see how it comes back, but it'll never die.
Yeah.
It'll never die. It'll be funny to see it'll be interesting to see those who stick with it. But it'll never die. It'll be back.
I like that. I kind of feel the same way. Like, you can definitely feel dire sometimes because you're like, what's it? But I agree with you. I feel like comedy is one of those forms that people will never not want, you know? Like, I feel like, because especially with, I think streaming services, as much as you want live comedy, right? And I prefer being live in an audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Because that's what it's meant to be. It's just like live theater. Like, you're supposed to be, you know, there in the audience. But it doesn't.
Would you rather have real sex or video sex?
Right. I'd rather have real, in case anybody was, concerned. But I think Shon Don's in agreement. I know this is the tell-all of Molly Ambergy.
Look, listen, it would have been different or weird if you'd have said you'd rather have video.
I feel like that's the thing. Like, this is like totally nothing to do with comedy. But speaking of video sex, somebody was like, "Do you watch like a ton of porn?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just like prefer it in person." So that's just my opinion.
Now I do.
But I think everybody does.
Now I do.
Now I do. Right. Yeah. We've been just, hey, oh, there we go. Cheers. Oh my gosh.
This is different. That's Remy.
So this is
cognac.
This is Remy. Okay.
That's cognac. Yeah. I actually had that in my trunk. So.
Oh, so thank you to Shon Don's trunk.
Yeah. I'm that guy.
Oh, I love that. I have a yoga mat in my trunk. Your trunk sounds so much more fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of fun things, though, have you ever done a show that has, I mean, I'm sure you have. That was very poorly worded. But have you ever had, oh my God, I haven't even had that much to drink and I can't even do my words properly.
Sorry.
Fuck 2020.
Fuck 2020.
Don't remember a day, what is it? Can't do my words. Is there a show that you felt like you just really excelled at, or you worked with a headliner that you really liked, or was there just one that just stands out in your mind?
One show? There was a few shows at Hey Guys.
Okay. I never got to experience Hey Guys because
Yeah.
I think they closed when I started doing comedy here in St. Louis.
Okay. Yeah, I like doing Hey Guys. It was kind of it was easy for me because the demographics of the room, and they kind of weren't used to getting. They were in a bubble, in and of themselves, right?
Okay.
And again, this is no knock. I'm just talking.
I got
how
you.
I see it. But they existed in a bubble, and Hey Guys was their outlet for live comedy. They didn't want to come all the way to St. Louis for the Funny Bone or for Helium, so they got their live comedy there. And me, myself, obviously, you see what I look like, you see who I am, but I try to be very universal in my comedy.
Sure.
So even though, I'm black and I don't hide from black shit, you can call me an urban comic if you want, whatever. But I try to talk about stuff that everybody has been through. Now, of course, it's coming from the eyes of a black man, and I'm not going to hide that. But I'll talk about divorce. I'll talk about raising kids. I'll talk about dating. I'll talk about weird shit, right? But weird shit that everybody goes through. So you get a crowd or a group of people who don't see a lot of black comedians live, but it's palpable for them, right? It's relatable but different. I used to love doing Hey Guys.
Okay.
I used to love doing Hey Guys. Whereas someone who may be a little bit harder or a little bit more, a little bit blacker, right? They might have alienated some of those people in the crowd, which it wasn't a hard crowd at all. But I think for some reason I got over well with them.
Yeah.
Even when I did talk about hard shit, because I talk about racism a lot, a lot. You know what I mean? But for some reason it resonated with them when I said some of the crazy stuff I said.
Nice.
So I like working at Hey Guys. Damn shame it closed.
I know. I was about to say, I'm sorry it closed.
Yeah,
I wish I experienced this. Yeah.
I like that, but I like that club.
What's so interesting? I feel like, not that it's exactly the same thing, but when the Laugh Lounge was open, that was one of the first clubs that I went to. And Marquise Moore was on this podcast. And he was one of the first people I met when I was there. And I mean, like, let's be honest, I know what I look like, okay? Like, I look like a basic bitch. And that's like it's true though. I know it. And I will say, when I was younger, I was not very cute at all. I was pretty ugly. I'm not going to lie. I had braces. Why I say that, though, is that, the typical ugly duckling story, right? But why I say that is Marquise was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Like in his whole, he was so funny, and I was like, Marquise, just like let me see what I can do. And I remember I went up, and I was so nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be accepted? Like, I probably look like super privileged. I probably don't really look relatable. And that was one of my worries when I first started doing comedy. I was like, am I going to even relate to people? But there was just something where I was like, this really means a lot to me, and I at least want to try it. And I remember that was one of my first few sets in comedy. It was like my favorite room. I had the best time, and it just kind of shows that, if you can just relate to people just on a common ground and a level, like, you can't be afraid of that. You just got to go in there, because there's so much unity that can really happen through comedy, right?
Yes. It sucks that more white comics did not do that room, particularly on weekends. It sucks that more white comics did not go and work that black room. It sucks. I'm going to say hard language. I'm not finna say diversity and all them soft-ass languages. Fuck that. It sucks that more white comics do not go and work black rooms. I'm looking you in your face. Go work black rooms. Black comics, go work white rooms. It makes you better. One of the dopest comics in the country right now is Bill Burr. And Bill Burr does not compromise who the fuck he is, and he could go in any room in America and murder that bitch. Because he went in black rooms and he died until he killed.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
And when I talk about working, loving to work, hey guys, I didn't go in there because I was pandering. I didn't do well because I was pandering.
Sure.
I didn't like, I don't step and fetch it for no fucking body. I'm gonna be me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's more genuine too when you
I'm
yourself.
not gonna ease back on the pedal for nobody. I'm the same person no matter what room I'm in. It just so happens that I was okay in that room. But it disappoints me that I don't see more comics that don't look like me in black rooms. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can name in St. Louis, since I've started, I won't use up both my hands if I count the number of white comics that consistently and regularly worked black rooms, and the ones who regularly worked, regularly killed.
I agree.
And that's just because they did them. Like, go in there and be yourself. You be all right. If you're funny, you're funny.
Yeah.
Like,
right, though? Like, especially, I feel, it's just like with theater, when we're acting in a character, right? That's what when I was, before COVID, when I was directing shows, that's what I would tell the actor. I was like, you kind of have to put that genuine personality in, right? Like, obviously, this character isn't you, or like, if you're a murderer or something in it, you're not, right? I'm not saying that, but the best actors are the one that just put their best foot forward and just are themselves the whole time trying to embrace that character. And I feel like live comedy, even though it's not exactly the same, it's still a performance. So as long as like you're selling it and you're talking to people and you're making people feel like, I see you, we're in this together, let's rock and roll, let's make this happen, you're not going to have a problem. And that just goes with interpersonal and also just like friendships in life, I don't know, I know this is going to sound like really weird, but I feel like when I first started doing comedy, it gave me that confidence again. Not that I wasn't ever social, but it made me feel like I could, like I said, go and talk to people and relate to people and not be as scared, which I think is a good outlet. Which we're talking about outlets and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, man, go do that shit. Go do it. Like, this is what we do, right? That's the job. You're supposed to be able to go out there and make people laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Speaking of laughter, sometimes we talk to comedians and they have like a funny story about maybe where something went wrong during a show. Do you ever have that, or is everything just stellar for you? Or did you ever an audience member that was just silly and excited, or something happened to you?
So, okay, do you want the
let's see. Like,
do you want
time do we have here?
Because I got the one with the happy ending and the one with the one I learned from.
Okay.
So, which one do you want?
I mean, whichever one you think suits this podcast, or both.
All right. Exactly, both. I'll go through both briefly.
Okay.
How much time we got?
We got like about 8 more minutes. So
Right. Damn, it went quick.
I told you, it goes very quickly.
I only pulled up once. Okay, first one. Remember when I talked about being early in comedy and going to Funny Bone, doing well, and kind of riding a wave and thinking I'm good. So I had done a string of shows, but this was still within my first year or two. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm doing shows and I'm getting consistently decent laughs. I'm good.
You're like, yeah.
I'm
you're
good.
You're in your flow.
Yeah. No, I'm not in my flow. I'm good.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm good. You're number 2. I'm good. And I did a show at, it was a competition. Princeton Dude and Maurice G did a competition. And this was in front of the most people I've ever performed in front of. And I did not read that crowd at all. At all. And I went up there and I died a death. I died a death. And I had my friends came in town from Arkansas and
So you had everybody there.
Man, I died a death up on that stage. It was bad. So one of the things I did, because I didn't know, about hecklers or whatever, I had never really dealt with a heckler. And so some people were talking through my set. And they weren't even that distracting. It was like one little table, but it was up front. Mm-hmm. I heard them.
Because they're up front.
They were up front. Yeah. Nobody else was really even paying them any attention.
Yeah.
I addressed them, right? And it wasn't even funny. I seriously, excuse me, could you please be quiet? Some bullshit, it wasn't a part of my show. I broke the show to say, excuse me, I am up here attempting to make this crowd of individuals. I died of death. So after that, they was like, man, who the fuck this dude think he is? Boo! Man. So it wasn't even beyond the fact that I was barely okay. Mm-hmm. Then it just got awkward.
Right.
It got awkward. And awkward ain't funny. It wasn't a funny awkward. So it was
and you're just they're here, I'm here.
So yeah, man, I'm on stage trying to make people laugh. I got these people here booing me, and everybody else in the crowd is like, I feel so bad for him. I died of death up there. Mm. So I sat in the back and watched everybody else go up, and everybody else did pretty good. So I can't even say the crowd was on some shit last night. Nobody else did. Yeah. No, it was me. It was me. I screwed up. And I had to eat that and own that. And that was when I say I actually did start to get good. Yeah. When they say you bomb and you get better from bombing, that's when I started to learn, read crowds.
Humility. Yeah.
Humility, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the people were going up and they were doing a lot of freestyling and playing with the crowd. And kind of drawing them in by freestyling and talking about topical things. Mm-hmm. I got up there and I went straight into my material. I didn't read them at all. So little shit like that. So that's when I started getting actually better, I think. So I died of death up there. And then more recently at the Laugh Lounge.
Yeah.
This was last year. And it was this old lady I was hosting. And one thing about the Laugh Lounge, which is why I'm upset that more people didn't go up there. You'll be at the Laugh Lounge and the owner, he may be hosting that weekend, but since he owned the place, as you're running a business, you got a million things going on.
You got things happening.
A million things. So he'll come by and he'll be like, hey, I got so much. Hey, you want to host for me? I just came to watch the show, but
sure.
Hell yeah, I'll host. So I end up just hosting on a humbug, right? So I'm up there, I'm hosting, I'm doing my shit, having fun, and it was this old woman, older woman up front, and she starts. Yeah, it was an older woman. But she starts flirting with me, yeah. So I start playing off of that, and instead I didn't do any material. I ended up not doing any material. I just stood there for 10, 15 minutes of banter with her and the crowd was dying. Like, they were loving it.
I love that.
And I didn't get to do any material. It was just me and her playing. And that was fun. Like, that, I can say that was one of the times that just unexpectedly didn't plan on going on stage. I have kind of a set in the back of my mind for any given time, or had.
Yeah.
When you practice, and you get to regularly go on stage, fuck 2020, you have kind of a set in your head. God.
Fuck 2020.
Fuck 2020. But no, I didn't get to go through any of that. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And then it's just off to the races there.
Yeah.
I'd say something, she'd say something, I'd say something, she'd say something, and it was perfect.
Isn't that so that actually, it's so funny you brought that up, because that just happened to me over at Backdoor. Like 2 weeks ago, this lady came in and it was on her bucket list. So she called herself an older woman as well. I was like, we're going to say seasoned, because I think that sounds fancier.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, she brought a whole crowd of people. So she's pretty connected for somebody. And I even said to her, I was like, you should keep doing this. And she's like, oh, it's just a bucket list thing. So, I mean, age is just a number. I mean, if you want to try it, you can do it.
I was in my 30s when I started.
See, there you go. So trust me.
I was 30 when I started. Similar thing happened.
Yeah.
Chris's show. Chris does a show at a barbecue joint.
Oh, he does.
And,
see, Chris, we still remembered you were here. Just he does throwing that out.
At the barbecue joint, and this particular night, it was like a whole table in the middle. They did not come for a show. They came for a family dinner.
The food. Yeah.
And they wasn't paying the comics no attention. Like, there were comics that were going up there the comics were funny as shit.
Yeah.
But the family wasn't paying.
They're like, we're here to eat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's not even like they just were talking to each other and stuff like that. So I started talking to the family. Mm-hmm. Again, I probably, out of a 10-minute set, I probably did 3 minutes of material.
Yes.
It was one dude, I called him like Jesus Chuck Norris or something like that, because he had like long hair and a beard, but he looked like he did karate. And I just kept fucking with Chuck Norris Jesus. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but just playing with, you know what I'm saying? Playing with the family, like.
You know who did that really well? Ben Bailey, the guy who's the host of Cash Cab. He came to the Funny Bone. And side note, it was like a personal thing for me, because my dad and I grew up watching Cash Cab together. Okay. So when I saw that Ben Bailey was coming to the Funny Bone, I was like, oh my God, I have to go. And like, unfortunately, my dad lives in Cincinnati and he's older and can't travel the way he used to. So I was like, well, I'm going to go and like support the Amber Gee tradition. Obviously, we're not going to play Cash Cab at the Funny Bone. But the set that he did that night was so funny, because this lady was just in the front and she's like fanning herself, and she just starts talking again. And it wasn't that she was like obnoxious or weird. Like, it's just like one of those moments during a show. And the best part was, it was like some laminated photo of kids. And so she goes, here, you can have it. And he goes, I'm just holding a laminated photo of two random kids. I don't know, like, what's happening. And the whole crowd is just dying.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best shit.
It was like, and he just goes, I'm not even doing any material right now.
That's the best shit.
And it was, but like, that's crowd work. Like, there are comedians who just do a whole show of just crowd work. And I have to give it to them. Like, I could not do, I couldn't. I like to write things and have a sequence, but I got to give it to comedians who were able to just rock an audience. And the only thing I did at Backdoor was this, like the couple in the front, the ones that the lady brought, had a whole table. And he started talking during my set, and I was like, oh, yeah, like getting your wife involved or something. And he's like, that's my sister. And they were from Troy.
Funny.
So I was like, oh, is that what we do in Troy? Like, there's the,
nice.
But
nice.
And again, I didn't have any, it was fine. And then I went into like my family and stuff. But it was, when Ben Bailey, that made such an impact on me. I just was like, way to just save the moment. Because you're kind of like, where is this going to go? But he
sometimes that's like the master class. That's when, you know what I'm saying? That's when you got the long white beard and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's next level. That's the last piece that I'm adding.
Yeah.
Right? Because even typically my crowd work, probably shouldn't say this, but fuck it.
Fuck 2020.
But I get in, I'll get in, I'll address it, then I'll move on. Like I'm not going to stay there too long.
Oh, I agree.
Right?
That's me too. So I get that.
But then I've had some of my most fun times. Like I said, the couple times like being able to just keep volleying off of it when in the past I'll address it and I'll do okay. You know what I mean? I'll be able to address it and bob and weave, but then I'll move on.
Totally.
Right? And even when you move on, you just go ahead and ignore it. Like, okay, folks, now.
We're good. Moving on to the side of the room now.
Yeah, your part of the show is over now. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, and then move on.
Exactly.
So that's why, I guess, why I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
Proud of myself for being able to kind of maintain.
And it's great when the audience is on your side too, right? They're like, yeah, I love this.
Yeah,
this is great.
I don't like being a mean comic either, so I don't like putting people. I would rather make you a part of the show than go at you. Right. So, I'm happy about that. I was happy with that.
Oh my God, I was going to ask you about like advice, but that is probably the best like advice that you could give. Is there anything else though you want to add to that for anybody who's interested in, I know it's like a weird question to ask because we are in such a, very like weird times as all the memes are saying it and calling it. But is there anything you would add to somebody who probably like is watching this and going, oh, I like this Shon guy and he sounds, interesting and everything. Like what advice would you give them?
For comedy? Two things. First thing is, both of them actually I got from Shon Arredondo. Shout out to Shon Arredondo.
I love Shon. Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah. I love him.
That's the first I would call mentor.
I met him at Backdoor and the Funny Bone when he came back in town, and now we're besties. Yeah. Shout out to Shon. Love him.
That's the first person to like kind of pull me to the side, like, hey, you're funny. You got something. Mm-hmm. Do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do. He's the first person to like pull me to the side and kind of kick some game to me. Mm-hmm. Have fun. If you're not having fun, they're not going to have fun. And slow down and let the jokes breathe. Let the laughs breathe.
That was something I needed to learn when I first started doing comedy.
Yeah, those two things. Have fun and have fun and slow down. Those two things.
I like that. Have fun and slow down. So I feel like that's going to be my whole life motto, though. I'm like, I got to have fun and slow down. I feel, well, it also comes from, I've been pretty like independent my whole life. Like I've always worked. I've always had to work. I don't know. I feel like it's always been in survival mode. So sometimes like, I think it's another thing with comedy. It's taught me to kind of just be like, enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Just, be a part of it.
Yeah. It was co-signed too. Have you ever heard of Arvin Mitchell?
Yeah.
Arvin Mitchell's a beast. Yeah. He's an animal. And he pulled me to the side one time and he was like, man, picture you're not doing comedy. He said, picture you having a house party and you standing in front of your fireplace and everybody just sitting on your couch and you just telling them about some funny shit. He's like, you just sitting there. He's like, you got a sweater on in front of your fireplace at Christmas and you just telling everybody a funny story. Relax.
Yes.
And that fits in with...
What a great comparison.
So, and I watched him go up there and do and when he went up there and did his set, that's exactly what it felt like. It was a fireplace behind Arvin Mitchell, and he had on a sweater, and we was all at his crib, and he was hosting a Christmas party.
Can I make you laugh for a second?
That's good ass. What's up?
Speaking of this comparison, I actually did a show, wasn't in somebody's house, but I did do something in front of a fireplace, and it's exactly like how you're talking about. It was shout out Amber Clear. She did a show in Effingham.
Yeah.
And so it was like a Halloween show, and it was funny because it was in this brewery, and in the back room they had this fancy fireplace, so we just had to like perform in front of it. And I swear to God, he's totally right. I felt like I was in my house, just like having a story. And it was and I was in a Lucille Ball costume because we were all dressed up for Halloween. But I felt like that is so crazy. Go Arvin. I felt the same way. You just reminded me of that. I got to remember these things when they happen in the present.
Yeah. It helped me relax. You know what I mean? Helped me relax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Well, thank you for. I personally really enjoyed this moment, and I'm glad. I told Shon Don, I was like, I've asked him a couple of times to come on, and I'm so glad. Third time's the charm.
Hey.
We got you in. So cheers. Thank you. I know you've been super busy, so I appreciate you putting me in.
Don't do that.
He's like,
Don't do
no.
that. Don't do that. I'm not that important. I'm not that busy. I'm not that cool.
Aw. Well, you're cool to me, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. You're my homie, and I like it.
Yes.
Yes.
This was fun.
Yes, it was. And we remembered that Chris Denman was in the back. I just want to make sure that that's reiterated because I know we got a lot of comments about that last time. So
Always exciting.
We love you.
Yeah, Chris is the dude.
Chris
Shout out
is
to
the
Chris.
dude. It's a good thing. What's actually kind of cute is obviously Chris and I have a good friendship, but what's great is like every time I do a podcast episode, Chris doesn't know this, but he's going to know this now, is we'll go outside, or you said it on the mic, but everybody's like, Chris is just such a good dude. And I'm like, he is a good dude.
I got nothing bad to say about Chris, and if anybody else does, they lying.
Well, we're just going to talk about all the bad things about Chris after this podcast
Perfect.
episode.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Because we are conveniently located up the street from him. But anyway, inside joke. Shon Don, where can we find you on social media and whatnot to follow all of your shit?
Yes, Facebook, Shon Don Comedian. Space them out. And on Instagram, Shon Don Comedian, one word. Twitter, Comedian Shon, right?
Yes.
SHON. That's SHONDON.
Yes.
I don't use my government name because I was hoping background searches don't find me when jobs are looking to see if I talk that shit on social media, because I do.
Yeah, that's fair.
My professional life and my comedy life are two different things. But Shon Don, SHONDON, comedian, on most platforms. Follow me, friend me, sign up, like. All of that. Same thing on YouTube. I got a couple of videos out there. I got a couple of skits recorded.
Oh, really?
They just need to be cut and edited and all of that good stuff. So hopefully I'll find somebody who knows what they're doing to cut and edit.
Chris at midcoast.media. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, Chris, we're just getting job opportunities by the minute.
That's right. That's right.
It's all good.
So
we may need a haircut, but man, are we employed? Let me tell you what.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
I like it.
Hey, support your friends, support my folks, support.
I like it.
Especially in this time, man. We need to hold each other down instead of splitting each other apart.
I agree. We definitely need unity for sure, which is what I always hope in this podcast. I always try to end it on a good note, so I appreciate that. Just remember, you can always casually subscribe to the podcast. We are available on all streaming services, audio, as well on YouTube and our Facebook page. We put all of the episodes and clips up now that we're filming it, which is super exciting. And then, of course, if you just want to follow me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well. But I appreciate your time, and everybody else have a great rest of your day or your night, depending on when you're watching this.